facility. Obviously, because we wanted to be able to space out more and have more people available, we moved it here. But still, this would have been the night that Dr. Dale Rush, our principal of Multi-County, could have given his report on what's going on at Multi-County and the great work they're doing with those students. So Dr. Dale, if you wouldn't mind coming forward for our school report. Thank you.
Okay. And I appreciate Mr. Yeager giving me the opportunity to talk to you all because I don't get to see people very much because I'm kind of over off in my own little spot. But there have been some changes. A number of you have visited Multi-County when we've had board meetings, different things. Some things that have changed that you may or may not be aware of. At one point, we had 3 parts to our building. We had a treatment center, we had something called the Community Corrections Facility, and then we have the Stark Detention Center. Most people think about the Stark Detention Center as that's all of Multi-County, but there's actually really more to it than that. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, the treatment center was closed for various reasons, but we still have our Community Corrections Facility, which is a long-term facility from youth around the state who have committed felonies and been convicted of those felonies. And then we also have our Stark Detention Center, which is our short-term spot for kids who come in. If they get picked up by the police, they come in and they stay with us a certain amount of time depending on what they did. So some changes that have happened with the Community Corrections Facility is at one point, our kids were always less than 18 years old. So they would come in, the day they hit 18, they would leave us and they would go to a different placement. Sometimes that was home arrest, sometimes that was probation, sometimes that was the county jail. That's changed for various reasons. Part of it's COVID, part of it's the way funding works. And we are starting to get students who are actually more than 18 years old. So we currently have a number of students who are 18 years old, 19 years old, and 20 years old. Then, because of that, our clientele are changing as far as the years go. Their schooling has changed. So in the past, our kids were credit deficient, so we tried to catch up on credits, which is kind of what you probably are familiar with. But we're to the point now where we have students who are coming in who need not only help getting credits, but maybe getting help with their GED. So that's something that we've pivoted on as a building, and we're trying to help the students get their GED because it doesn't matter what education route they want to take. Our job is to help them no matter what, especially at the Community Corrections Facility, which we call CCF, which is long-term. So we were with those kids from 6 to 9 months. So Mr. Yeager, I told him a story about a student that we had, and he asked me to share that story with you all because we don't always get kind of that reinforcement that we're doing something that's making a difference in kids' lives. So recently, we had a student get his GED, which is just amazing because if any of you have ever taken the GED, it's not easy. I mean, it's actually almost easier to get credits than to get the GED. So he got his GED. He came to us back in February. He was 20 years old. He had not been in school since he was in 7th grade. So if you do the math, he hadn't been in school for about 8 years, literally not in school. Kind of back and forth for a few days here and there, been picked up and was in the juvenile system for a while. But he came to us with no credits. Came to us as what we would consider a 9th grader. So he didn't have any credits at all, but we were trying to figure out what best to do for him. Since we haven't since last February, he kind of talked to us and he decided he wanted to do GED, which makes sense. He's 20 years old. And getting credits, it was just going to be a slow process. So his situation was that he had been in the system for a certain amount of time before he came to us, but hadn't gotten education in other places either. So he was actually convicted of aggravated vehicular homicide, which is a felony 2. Felony 1 is the highest felony. Felony 2 is the next highest. Aggravated typically means that he was either drinking or he was driving recklessly or something along those lines. So a kid that made a pretty bad mistake. So through my staff and the multi-county staff, we were able to get him set up to take the GED. We worked with him, my staff worked with him on the weekends. We had to set up an email address for him through his PO, so we were allowed to do that. And then we had to coordinate with multi-county to make sure that we could get him to the test. All this happened in a matter of a couple of weeks because what happens to us sometimes at the Community Corrections Facility, we find out all of a sudden that kids are going to leave. They're going to go back home. They're going to go some other placement. So we don't always have a whole lot of time when we find that out, and that was the case here. And the GED is a pretty long process getting it set up in a normal circumstance. Multi-county staff were able to take him to Alliance one day. He took the test, passed all but one part. Then we kind of figured out, regrouped, what do we need to do to get him to pass that last part. Actually ended up taking him down to Tusk County. So it didn't matter what the borders were, where we needed to take him. We were going to make sure that he got the opportunity to take the test. And then it was a blessing. He passed. So he has his GED. And his counselors, there is counseling that happens over at Multi-County. His counselors basically said if he doesn't get his GED now, he will not get it. He would just simply not ever finish school of any type. So this is a kid, as you can imagine, did some things that probably most of us can't imagine. Came to us fairly broken, which most of our kids, if not all of our kids, are that way. And if you would have seen him in February, you would have thought, well, this kid's not going to do anything for you. You're basically just wasting your time. Well, I tell my staff, we're not wasting our time. Our kids get unlimited chances. It's not one chance, it's not two chances, it's not three, it's unlimited. As long as they are with us, they get a chance at education. And we do everything we can for them. So back in February, pretty rough kid that really didn't want to be with us, didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, but through his counseling with Multi-County, through my teachers interacting with him, we got to the point where he was willing to try the GED. And then once he decided to do that, we got him the help he needed, which is just amazing, because it happened so quickly. So I want to finish up with reading a couple excerpts of a letter that he wrote us. And here's something else. Our kids don't write letters. They don't. They don't write letters to us. They don't write letters to the judges. They don't write letters to the parents. They don't write letters to anybody. So to have this, and actually he hand wrote it, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to read it, so I printed it out for myself. But the fact that he wrote this is almost as miraculous as him getting his GED. So just want to read you a couple things and then I'll finish up and make this quick. But just know that what we do, we don't always see the difference we make in lives of kids. Doesn't matter whether you're at Multi-County, South, Walker, Faircrest, wherever you're at, we don't always see that. Our goal at Multi-County is we don't ever want to see our kids' names in the paper, because if we see their names, it means they did something really, really bad. Again. So, like I said, this is something we all have copies of the letter, and we're going to keep those for a while. So he writes, when I first got here, I didn't really care too much. I was still caught up in my ways, but as the time went by, I woke up and realized that I needed to behave, and I had to change my lifestyle and mindset. I started to realize that I'm worth a lot and have a lot of potential. And I have an impact on people around me. I've talked to people here, such as staff, and I've had good conversations. I was told things by the staff that will stick with me forever. As time went by, this program made me better because I wanted to help and needed to change. A lot of people believed in me, but at first, I didn't want to believe in myself. I was just mentally messed up. But as I started realizing everyone ain't out to hurt me or lie to me, I realized that I could do anything. I came this far. I'm not going to stop now. If I do, I will let a lot of people down, but most of all myself. Everyone ain't a bad person because you guys have saved my life by believing in me. I will forever be thankful. So, as you can see, that's not all he wrote, but it's the gist of it, and very, very meaningful. This is, those days when we're having a rough day, this is what we'll hang on to. And the good news is that last year we did have another graduate. We had a kid actually graduate high school while he's with us. We had another kid get the GED, but there wasn't the turnaround that we saw with this young man. So as we go through, we look for those little kernels of hope, those little victories, and I'm happy to say we've got another student who I've been working with his homeschool, and he's getting ready to leave us. We're hoping that he'll stay long enough to get him as many credits as he can because he is close, But when he leaves us, we're still going to find a way to work with him to make sure he graduates. So it's literally, you know, we talk about every child, every minute, every day. That includes multi-county. It's every child. Doesn't matter what building they're in. And everyone here does great work in our district. We're very blessed to be here. My staff, you can't be more proud of them because of all the work they do, the extra hours they put in, because that's what takes sometimes. So thank you, Mr. Williams, for letting me share that with you all. So when you're kind of thinking about when you drive by Faircrest, and I know it's kind of one of those things that we don't pay a whole lot of attention to sometimes, just realize there's some really cool things happening over our building, and we're blessed to be there. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rush. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rush. Okay, we're up to item number 9, which is Treasurer's Report. Mr. Shatzer.
We've got 4 things tonight. Item A, as usual, is the monthly financial reports for the month ending September 30th, 2021. Exhibit TA1. Total deposit accounts at September 30th was $8,889,100.
and Abigail Berger. If you could come forward here, please. Guys, I'm going to have you just stand right up here. Abby, I'm going to hand this to you. McKenna, I'm going to hand this to you. And then if you guys want to face so they can see, everybody can see here. Hey, I just want to take a second and introduce these two senior ladies, just outstanding kids. And, you know, we always like to think as adults that we're in charge of the school and that we set the culture, and to an extent you do. But what makes the school greater when you have young ladies like we have right here that really go out and lead this and do this and are great role models for other students in the school. So I just want to take a second, introduce them. I'm going to go alphabetical, so Abby, you are first. If you don't mind standing, her parents, Jen and Chris, if you could just stand up as well. Thanks, be recognized. So Abby, her activities include offices a number of years. She's been a class president for 3 years, National Honor Society co-president for 1 year, National Technical Honor Society chairperson for 1 year, student leadership member for 4 years, All-In Social Justice Club member for 3 years, a Bleacher Creature member for 2 years, 6-man mentoring for 2 years. In sports, she's been in girls soccer. She's also been in the fine arts of the art, band, and choir, our career tech graphic design program. She's a cast member in Mamma Mia. Community involvement, a member of the Youth Leadership Academy of Starr County, a member of National Honor Society, and a volunteer to work at the election polls. After graduation, Abby will be attending college and playing soccer. She plans on majoring in either political science or graphic design. I think you get that honestly there with your father. What hashtag would summarize your high school experience? And Abby chose every moment counts because high school is a great time to make memories, but it flies by. This has been made even more clear to me due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I've tried to make every moment count in high school because it's such a short time in my life, and I want to be filled with amazing experiences and memories. What's the best thing about being a teen? And the best part about being a teen for Abby is that it's the time truly beginning to discover who you are, which is both daunting and exciting. There's endless opportunities presented, and it's the perfect time to take advantage of them all. And then finally for Abby, if your high school experience had a theme song, what would it be? And as a 90s kid, I like this one, 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins. It relates to my high school experience because it describes feelings of highs, lows, and complete uncertainty in life. The high school experience is a roller coaster that helped build me into the person I am today, which is what 1979 always reminds me of. Congratulations, Abby. Our next Wildcat of the month is McKenna Daniels, and she's here with her mom, Beth Ann Daniels. If I could have her stand, thank you very much. So McKenna's activities include being the National Technical Honor Society Secretary, the Tri-M Vice President, a member of the National Honor Society, a member of the National Thespian Honor Society, a 6-man mentor for 2 years, a student leadership member for 2 years, a drama club member for 3 years. In sports, she'll be on the softball team for 4 years and the tennis team for 1 year. In fine arts, she has been in SOS, which is Sounds of South, for 2 years, a cast member and the student artistic director of Mamma Mia, a cast member of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Matilda, and It's a Wonderful Life. She's been crew for the middle school production of Frozen Jr. and also a member of the Graphic Design Career Technical Education Program. She's been in choir, concert choir, and symphonic choir for 1 year. Community involvement is volunteering with National Honor Society, as well as various volunteer work with Girls T-Ball, at church food drives, and with the Middle School Drama Club. After graduation, McKenna plans to go to college and major in architecture, hoping to later become a registered architect. What would your hashtag, or what hashtag would summarize your high school experience? The hashtag she would choose would be, sorry, I'm busy. This is because with all the various activities I'm in, I've had to be very careful with my free time. This means I'm often unable to hang out with my friends and have to inform them of the fact that she's busy. However, I would not change a thing I did in high school, as I have loved being in all these activities. What's the best thing about being a teen? The best thing about being a teen is getting to experience so many new things for the first time. As a teen, one is able to have fun, new experiences without all the responsibility brought on by adulthood. so they're able to really enjoy these experiences. And what is the most important part of school? And she says, I believe the most important part of school is getting involved in activities and clubs that one may normally not be involved in. It's important to get out of one's comfort zone in order to get a varied high school experience and to meet people from many different groups. If you guys would, everybody, if you could join me and just give a round of applause here to Abby Berger and Kennedy. Awesome. Thank you. And thank you to your families as well for being here today. Okay. Next, we have committee reports. We did an athletic council one last time, so we're going to hold off on that one. We'll talk probably again how our season's wrapped up in November. But now another one that we're excited to have here is our student representatives to the Board of Education. And we are fortunate to have, again, two of our seniors that are here with us. We have Alexis Justice and Trevor Paul. And I'm actually going to turn the floor over to them to let them communicate with you. Mr. Cole, thanks so much. I know you're a part of talking with them as well. Thank you. So, Alexis and Trevor, the floor is yours.
I'm Alexis Justice. I'm a senior here at Canton South. Some things that I'm involved in. I am the student representative for the repository. I'm involved in 6th-grade memory program, Nature's Creatures, co-president of National Honor Society, captain of soccer team, president of student leadership, Wildcat Christian athletes, and I'm also a member of the track and cross country team, and I coach youth soccer in my off seasons. And I wanted to report back on homecoming that was hosted here on October 2nd. We sold 398 tickets, which was about 2/3 of our student body. And the day before homecoming, we hosted a pep rally, which involved announcements of all fall sports senior athletes, announcements of homecoming court and games, which included both students and staff members that everyone enjoyed. Thank you, and it's an honor to represent our student class.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trevor Cole. I'm a senior at Canton South High School. Some things I'm involved in. I'm the student band director for the Wildcat marching band. I play trombone, tenor sax, and piano. I play first singles on the boys tennis team. I'm in NHS and Triangle. I'm 6th mentor. I do bowling. I play bowling for Canton South. I'm an ambassador to the Youth Leadership Academy in Stark County, and I play trombone in Canton. I'm also in the graphic design program. So, some things I'd like to report on. Recently, the student body took a CDC survey over health and mental health in the Northeast Ohio area, so that the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, can get a better idea of young people's health in the area. And another thing is, on the morning of October 1st, which was the day before homecoming, the Sixth-Men hosted a little activity morning for the freshmen, where the freshmen got to meet their mentors that have been emailing them since about July, and just get together and play some games so that they can get to know each other. Thank you for having me there.
Thank you and welcome.
Any questions? Do you guys have any questions for our representative?
Alexis, you have a mighty task ahead of you to get Canton South students and student repository at once. We look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. All right, next, facilities. We are actually going to hold off on that. Mr. Knoll just was unable to be here this evening, and we are going to call a facilities meeting. I believe that's Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Cole on Thursday to have a discussion, and we'll have a report out at the next board meeting on facilities as well. To curriculum and programs. Mrs. Coates Everett emailed this to me, just not feeling the best tonight, and asked if I would share this out, so she emailed it. I gave you guys a copy, but today is, I think everybody knows, for our certified teaching staff, today was a professional development day. And just want to thank every administrator and our teachers for just the great work that went in today and your time. I know sometimes PD, especially you get into the middle of the 9 weeks and you're tired, and just a great job by everybody. But we had a guest speaker that started off our morning, a longtime educator, Then we went into key vocabulary routine, keys to literacy for our grades and our staff in grades 4 through 12, English language arts, social studies, science, fine arts. The key vocabulary routine incorporated a combination of direct and indirect instructional practice that have been identified consistently in the research as most effective for growing students' vocabulary in any subject area. Our language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling, which is letters. We had a state support team 9 consultant, Deb Hartwick here. That was for our kindergarten through 3rd grade staff and English language arts. The Ohio Councils for Teachers of Mathematics Conference. We had presenters in for all math teachers in grades 3 through 12. The Math Accelerator Tier Intervention. We had a consultant in from the company that worked with math teachers in grades 3 through 8. And then we had CPI, and that is Crisis Prevention and Intervention Training. And that was put on here. We had Mrs. Hesse, who is our Director of Special Education, help to bring that in to make sure our staff is trained in de-escalation and ways to get things, resolved peacefully with students if there would happen to be a situation. So overall, a really good day of learning, and I'd like to thank everybody who was a part of making that possible today. So just thank you to everybody there on that. A really good day. For finance and audit, if I'm correct, Mr. Schatzel, you're going to look to call a meeting with that committee in early November, is what we were thinking there. So that brings us down to our superintendent's update, and just a few things. First of all, I'd like to start out by saying thank you. This has been a tough start to the school year. And the reason it's been a tough start to the school year, I had an old principal that said this to me once, and I think this makes a lot of sense. Happiness is when you have your reality above your expectation. And I think when we all started back in early August and coming in, the expectations for this school year were very, very high. We had gone through June, we had gone through July, COVID numbers had been dropping. We had been able to run summer school without masks. We were starting the school year. And I think a lot of people were thinking, hey, we're going to be able to get this started and get back to normal. And as we all know, unfortunately, that's not 100% been the case. We've had to put these masks on, we've had to quarantine students out of school, we've had to go through a lot of those things that none of us wanted to do. But I have to say thank you so much to our students who have been resilient, to our parents and our families that have rolled with and really been very, very supportive and asked really good, appropriate questions. To our teachers, to our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers, our custodial staff, our aides, our secretaries, our administrators, for really making every adaptation necessary to try to make this as normal of a school year as possible. It's not been easy. It's not been easy on our kids. It's not been easy on our staff. We know it's not been easy on our families. But just want to say thank you, because at the end of the day, our goal is how do we keep things normal for kids. I love hearing kids reporting we had homecoming. I love hearing kids reporting we had assemblies. I love when I'm hearing about these kids and all the activities they're involved in. I love being able to go to our football games and volleyball games and soccer matches and all of these things and seeing our band and hearing sound to sound. That's what we're doing this for. So just thank you to everybody that's made that possible. A few other things. The Canton Township Fire Department. Just want to take a moment. They came in last week, met with our students at Walker, put on an excellent program. I know Trustee Schaefer, I just want to say thank you on behalf of representing kind of the township here. Thank you. Just great to have them in there. Mamma Mia, you've heard it announced. I think our students of the month are going to be involved, but that's coming up before our next board meeting. It's going to be Friday night, or no, I'm so sorry. It's going to be Saturday afternoon at 2, and then Saturday evening at 7, and then again Sunday at 2. Tickets go on sale starting tomorrow. We have posters that are up around the school. There's been stuff on social media, but we'll encourage everybody to get out and support those kids. I have loved looking up in the stands on our home games on Friday night and just seeing the support for our cheerleaders, our band, for our team. We want to do the same thing for our kids in drama and make sure they know they're supported as well. So just making sure you have that. Something that was published in the paper that was inaccurate that I just want to make sure we put out there. It stated that our sub-pay at Canton Local Schools, if you saw this article, one of the papers said our sub-pay is $150 a day. That is not accurate. It is $100 a day, which actually puts us right in line with Alliance, Carrollton, Fairless, RJ Drake. And if you noticed, other schools were 110 to 85, somewhere in there. Previously, to me being here, we upped it from 90 to 100, keeping us right in line. That $150 a day is for our permanent subs that we have here every single day. Our subs that are just coming in are $100 a day. So I just wanted to make sure there was no just to make sure we have that right information there. And other than that, just our latest COVID update. As of the start of this meeting, and again, I handed this to you guys, we are now up to 79 positive cases of COVID. That is up 12 cases since our last board meeting. So here's what I would tell you. Those numbers are slowing down, but that was 3 weeks ago, so that's still 4 cases a week. Out of those, 67 cases have been students, 12 cases have been staff. We've had 10 non-Kent local students who attend our CTE programs that have tested positive and have been in our school. The numbers I want to make sure I share with you though, we have still had to quarantine 429 students or staff out of school. 47 of them have been in the last 3 weeks. Now you may say, why? If you're asking, some of it involves the person themselves being quarantined. If they have family members that live in the home, them being quarantined. I'm going to be honest with you, there was things at the homecoming. There was a positive that we had to quarantine some people dancing around them. People tried really hard, but as you can see me talking, you can imagine dancing. They started to slide down a little bit, so some came there. But here's the key. Since we have gone to masking, we have saved 269 students or staff members from being quarantined out of school. 385 overall, because some kids were wearing masks prior, and 101 of them have been saved in the last 3 weeks prior to with these cases coming in. So again, I know nobody's a fan of these. We're not, excited about it. But if it can keep our kids in school, and if it can keep our kids doing those normal activities, that's kind of where we stand right now. And my last little thing is just to make sure everybody knows, while you hear me saying 79 positive cases, if you look on our COVID dashboard, you only see 3. That is because that's how many active cases are there right now. As soon as the COVID positive person is cleared to come back in the building, they go off that COVID dashboard. But my plan is to keep you up to date every month, put this out, just so you know where we are overall with everything as we go. So just thanking the board for their support, thanking our students and staff, administrators, and our families for really fighting through what's, it's not been a normal year, but we're fighting hard to make it normal for these students. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're up to item number 11, which is the superintendent's report. Right back at you.
Right back at me. Okay, so we're going to start with resignation. Tamara Hudson was an educational parapro hired this year. For personal reasons, she just needed to step down from that position. We understand sometimes the parapros was 4 hours, 5.5 hours. If you get better opportunities, we completely understand that. We appreciate the work that she did with our students. I know Mrs. Bartley is sad to lose her at Walker here, but we have her resignation. I recommend that we accept that. As far as employment then, item B. So first of all, Brittany Myers, an educational parapro, we recommend that we transfer her from 4 hours to 5.5 hours. That's to fill in for Brandon Lee. She resigned at our last board meeting. Then Carrie Lloyd, we recommend to be hired as an educational parapro for 4 hours at Canton South High School. That is to fill in for Brittany Myers' position as she moves up to there. Another one that you're going to see on here, guys, number 3, Anne-Marie Trissel, permanent sub at the core of that $150 sub rate. We're going to pay this out of ESSER money, but we're bringing in another permanent sub, and the reason for that is this. We know we're going to have to make some adjustments here with CPI program, and some we're going to be losing there because of an opportunity that our teacher has in that at the semester. On top of it, we know we have 2 maternity leaves coming up, and we just want to stay ahead of things here so that we are not putting our teachers and our administrators and ultimately our kids in a rough spot not having subs. So we'd like to bring Anne-Marie Trissel in at that permanent sub starting here really tomorrow to get her in, really going back and forth between Faircrest and the high school until we get into a situation where we have more maternities out, which are coming soon. We'd like to approve Donna Dalton for a substitute cafeteria worker, William Larry for a substitute custodian, our winter athletic coaches, and that's exhibit B1. Guys, that includes our winter head coaches as well as our winter assistant coaches that are in there as well. like to say thank you to the Leaders Edge, Tara Gerber, for donating $1,000 to Faircrest Middle School, Travis Boyd, $200 to the Boyd Scholarship Fund, Pole Barns Direct, $100 to our construction trade program, and then Kathy Snowderly donated a Cannonball soprano saxophone valued at $1,000, a Summer Series 3 alto saxophone valued at $4,800, a Yamaha YTS-23 tenor saxophone valued at $800 to the Canton South Band program. So we'd like to accept those. I'd like to make a recommendation that we do. Adult meal prices, item E. Due to an increase in reimbursement that we're going to receive from the federal government, the USDA has sent to Ashley Marino, who's our food services coordinator, a new adult/non-student meal calculator, saying that we need to increase our breakfast and lunch prices for our non-student meals. Basically, our lunches will go up from $4.50 to $4.75 to stay where we need to be with the USDA, and our breakfasts will go up to $2.25 to $2.50. Now again, this is for adults only. Our students always receive their meals for free. This is for adults, so if I were to come buy a lunch, this is for a breakfast, this would be the rate that I would pay for any other staff member. And I'd like to recommend that we approve that. And that is all for my recommendations.
Okay, I so move on items A through E. The second down here. All right, any questions or discussion? Yeah.
Do we have a student participating in a swim program at another school?
You know what? I need to find the answer to that. I will find the answer and get back. I'm assuming that the athletic department sent that over, that we do, but I will double check and I'll get back to you, Mr. Member.
We've done that before.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually fairly common at schools that don't have their own pool. I've been involved in that at other schools as well. So yes, but I will double check.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, Mr. Shattuck, please call roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Schaefer? Aye. Mr. President?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are up to our informational items. Board concerns, anything legislative, Mr. Knight?
Just a couple things. We have the Senate Bill 1, which is financial literacy class can be taken as an elective or in lieu of 1/2 unit of math class. Math class cannot be Algebra 2 or its equivalent, or a math class that receives an upper or end of the year exam such as Algebra 1. This begins with the 9th grade of 2022. It also does away with the financial literacy license validation requirement for teachers to teach the class. And an amendment to the bill also allows districts to determine educational requirements for substitute teachers for 2021-2022 school year, including background checks. If the governor signs the bill, a portion of the bill regarding substitute teachers would go into effect immediately. So that'll help us as far as trying to get substitute teachers. We can look at our requirements. Then there are several bills introduced related to COVID-19 vaccinations, showing proof, not showing proof, required vaccinations, not requiring vaccinations, etc. So there's a lot of stuff going through the legislature in terms of COVID. And then one other bill, House Bill 290, is called the Backpack Bill, where every student in Ohio would be eligible to receive a voucher to be used at a private school. It'd be between $5,550 and $7,500 scholarships to be deposited into an educational savings account, be used for private school tuition, textbooks, and other allowable uses. The cost is being studied and is estimated to possibly cost the state several $billions each year, depending on participation. And this bill is in the House